Imagine a life where, well, everything seems mapped out for you. Every expectation, every rule, just set in stone. Now picture someone just looking at that map, kind of scoffing, and deciding to draw a completely different one, shattering the norms. That's the kind of figure we're diving into today. Welcome to the Deep Dive, where your shortcut to getting really informed, packed with those surprising facts and hopefully just enough humor to keep you hooked. Our mission today, uncovering the truly extraordinary life of Anne Bonny. One of history's most, compelling pirate queens. We've got a stack of historical articles, some cutting-edge research, and we're going to explore those pivotal moments, the surprising facts that made her a legend, giving you a direct line into her incredible story. And look, this isn't just a story about pirates and swashbuckling, though. Believe me, there's plenty of that. It's really about a woman who, against, pretty much every societal barrier you can think of, forged her own destiny. It all kicks off with this scandalous secret back in late 17th century Ireland. We're going to really dig into what made her so remarkable, how she navigated a world trying to box her in.
Exactly, and we'll try to connect the dots, between that unconventional start, the really radical choices she made later, and the mystery that still kind of surrounds her end. How does someone from those beginnings, hidden away, become this fearsome figure on the high seas? We'll explore the forces that really shaped her spirit, pushed her towards rebellion.
Okay, let's unpack this. So Anne Bonny, late 17th century Ireland. And it's not a fairy tale start, is it? It's scandal right from the beginning. Born illegitimate, her father a wealthy lawyer, her mother his servant. Think about the pressure then. He was desperate to protect his reputation. So desperate, he disguised Anne as a boy, told everyone she was some distant relative visiting, living a lie from day one. That's got to shape you right, especially someone like Anne.
Oh, absolutely. And what's fascinating is how that early conflict, that deception, really forged her character. It's like it laid the groundwork for everything that came later. Being forced into that false identity, it must have given her this, almost an instinctive understanding of how to operate in a world not built for her. Not built for any woman wanting autonomy back then. It wasn't just rebellion bubbling up. It was like she was learning how to write her own rules, defying the world by engaging with it head on.
And that fiery spirit, it didn't stay hidden for long. The family moves eventually to Charleston, South Carolina. And even then, Anne's temper was apparently, infamous. The stories, brawling with boys, really fighting, and maybe apocryphal, but setting fire to her father's plantation out of spite. Wow. From a really young age, she was clearly not going to just conform.
Yeah.
What traits do you think were really being hammered out back then? What set her on that path?
Yeah, those aren't just, childhood tantrums. They're potent signs. Early indicators of her rejecting the path laid out for her completely. The deception she lived under, the defiance she showed, and then crucially being disowned by her father when she married James Bonny. These things didn't seem to break her. Quite the opposite, actually. They seem to harden her resolve, sharpen her mind, fuel that rebellion. She learned pretty fast she had to make her own way, whatever the cost. That independence wasn't something she found on a pirate ship. It was baked in from the start, deeply.
Right. And from that challenging beginning, things just got bolder. She grows up. That rebellious streak is still there, strong as ever. She marries James Bonny, a small-time sailor, and her father, furious, totally against it, cuts her off completely, disinherits her. But the account suggests Anne was just indifferent, unbothered, basically.
Okay.
Which tells you a lot right there. But life with James, even with that initial act of defiance, it turned out to be pretty dull for her. You just can't picture someone like Anne settling for, domestic boredom.
No, it feels almost inevitable, doesn't it? That clash. Her restlessness wasn't just about a boring marriage. It was, I think, a fundamental incompatibility with what society expected. The constraints, the lack of agency for women then. She craved adventure, real freedom, excitement that, frankly, conventional life just couldn't offer her. It really highlights that her desire for liberation wasn't just an idea. It was this visceral need driving her towards something radically different.
And that craving led her straight to the Bahamas. They moved there, and Anne finds herself in Nassau. And Nassau back then?
Wow.
Bustling, chaotic, basically pirate central. Rogues, adventurers, you name it. You can almost smell the salt and rum, feel that raw energy, danger and opportunity all mixed together. It must have felt like breathing real air for the first time for someone like her.
Absolutely. A crucible of rebellion.
And it's there, in that environment, she meets John Rackham, Calico Jack. She's drawn to him, his charm, his audacity, and she makes a huge decision. Leaves James Bonny, joins Rackham's crew. And bam, her life as a pirate begins, trading boredom for the open sea in constant danger. What does that jump really tell us about her pursuit of freedom.
It tells us freedom wasn't just some abstract notion for her. It was tangible, something you had to actively seize, sometimes drastically. And if you place this in the context of the golden age of piracy, that whole period, late 17th, early 18th century, Nassau wasn't just a place, it was a symbol, an escape hatch for anyone feeling crushed by society's rules. So for Anne, joining Rackham's crew, it wasn't just about him or even just the adventure, though that was surely part of it. It was a profound act of self-liberation, which raises that question, doesn't it? How much was it the thrill of piracy itself versus how much was it a deliberate rejection of the life she was supposed to live? Seems like it was probably both, deeply intertwined.
And she definitely didn't just, tag along once she was on board. She proved herself fast. The sources are pretty clear. Piracy was a man's world, overwhelmingly so. But Anne carved out her space. Grit, skill. She fought fiercely. Pistols, cutlasses, right alongside the men, apparently with an intensity that kind of shocked even veteran pirates.
Yeah, imagine seeing that.
Right. This woman, fiery hair, bold demeanor, just going head-to-head in combat. She earned that fearsome reputation quickly, not just present, but terrifyingly effective.
And that ferocity, it wasn't just about fighting ability. It was a statement, wasn't it? She wasn't asking permission to be there. She was taking her place, asserting her right through sheer capability. And the sources do suggest she was more than just muscle. She was strategic, too. Helped Calico Jack plan raids, outmaneuver enemies. That points to a sharp mind, contributing way beyond just swinging a sword. Her being there must have really shaken up the usual dynamics on a pirate ship, challenged those ingrained ideas about gender roles, proved merit mattered more than your sex in that world. She seems to have been, well, indispensable, respected.
So yeah, not just one of the guys. A genuine force, carving out this unique space. And then things get even more interesting. She meets Mary Read, another female pirate, also often disguised as a man. And these two, they formed this incredibly strong bond almost immediately, united by, well, everything, their defiance, their unconventional lives. The sources paint them as this unstoppable duo, fighting side by side in the thick of it, sharing the spoils. It becomes more than just one woman succeeding. It's two women finding each other and just dominate.
That partnership with Mary Read, it's hugely significant. You really can't overstate it. It's like an even deeper level of defying gender norms. Not just one woman breaking through, but two together. If you connect that to the bigger picture, their alliance speaks volumes about solidarity under pressure. In a world trying to isolate women like them, they found strength, maybe even a unique kind of freedom, in that shared rebellion. It wasn't just two pirates fighting together. It was this statement about, chosen family, mutual empowerment, a kind of sisterhood forged in extreme danger, really revolutionary for the time.
But even the biggest legends, they have their fall. For Anne, it came crashing down in 1720. They're anchored off Jamaica. Rackham's crew gets ambushed by a naval sloop, a warship, caught completely by surprise.
Right.
And the men, apparently drunk, caught off guard. They offered very little resistance, which is kind of ironic with that reputation. But the sources really emphasize this. Anne and Mary, they stood their ground, fought like hell until the very end, alone.
An incredible image, isn't it? That resolve.
Yeah. Their bravery, though, it wasn't enough. They were captured, shackled, sentenced to hang. But even facing death, Anne was defiant.
That defiance never wavered. Even outnumbered, outgunned, they fought with a courage that apparently shamed the men. And her trial, it became the talk of the Caribbean. That's where we get that infamous quote, her supposed last words to Calico Jack.
Oh, yeah.
When asked if she had anything to say to him, also condemned, she allegedly shot back. If he had fought like a man, he need not have been hanged like a dog.
Wow. That quote just cuts right through, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What does that really reveal about her character at that moment? And maybe, what doesn't it tell us?
Well, it slams home her fierce independence, right? Her contempt for weakness, her expectation of courage. It perfectly sums up that spirit we've been talking about. But it's also set under extreme duress, facing execution. So while it's legendary, does it capture everything? Maybe not the private fear or vulnerability she might have felt. It speaks volumes about her public persona, that unbending will. But yeah, it absolutely cements her image. Never minced words, even with the noose practically tightening.
And then there's the disappearance. She uses the pregnancy claim, clever move, delays the execution. But what happens next?
Total mystery.
The sources give us two main theories, really. One, her rich father, despite everything, pulled strings, used his influence, got her released quietly.
Plausible.
The other theory, she escaped somehow, audaciously, lived out her life under a new name, maybe still defying expectations, just anonymously. It leaves you hanging, doesn't it? More questions than answers.
It really does. That lack of a clear ending is striking. And it definitely adds to her mystique, which raises that interesting question for us, I- Is the mystery part of what makes her legacy so enduring, so captivating? Or does it kind of get in the way of understanding the real person? On one hand, yeah, it fuels the legend, keeps her story open. On the other, we miss the final chapter. But maybe it's fitting. A woman who lives so far outside the lines, maybe her ending had to be just as unconventional. Unknown.
And Bonny's life. Definitely short, but just packed with, well, the extraordinary. Defined by fire, defiance, incredible courage against a world that tried so hard and failed to tame her. Her story still resonates, a reminder that some legends are just too strong to fade.
Absolutely. Her legacy isn't just about the piracy itself. It's fundamentally about that fierce drive for self-determination, that individual will.
Yeah. And Bonny's story really reminds you that history remembers the ones who refuse to be tamed, the ones who break the mold instead of just fitting in. So what can we really learn about courage, about individuality, about forging your own path from a woman who, in a world hell-bent on defining her, just chose to define herself on her own terms, whatever the cost, something to think about long after this deep dive is over.